Nestle has been in Sri Lanka for over 100 years. We have been committed to enhancing the lives of the local community since the very beginning. Today, we are Sri Lanka's largest private sector buyer of fresh milk. As we look at the smiling faces of thousands of dairy farming families, we know that we have kept the promise we made 30 years ago. Nestle, empowering Sri Lankan dairy farmers.
A very good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News live on Newsfirst. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shahin Jirampati. Very good evening to you. Strong winds wreak havoc in Yatiantota and Ruanvalla. One death has been reported.
A detailed report on the news bulletin tonight, but first a look at your headlines.
Services of the two police officers involved in the altercation with locals in Arachikatua interdicted. One dead and 50 injured when a bus fell into a precipice in Teldenia. 52 persons hospitalized over food poisoning in Negombo. Foreigners requested to obtain approval from the Ministry of Defence prior to visiting the north.
Moving on to the stories in detail now. 52 employees at a factory in Katunayaka have been hospitalized as a result of food poisoning.
The police say that the employees were admitted to the Negombo General Hospital after they consumed the food they were given last night. 50 women were among those hospitalized. They had been hospitalized after showing symptoms including nausea, stomach ache and headache. The director of the Negombo District General Hospital said the workers were admitted to hospital last night, this morning and this afternoon. They are employees of an electronic appliances manufacturing factory in the Katunayaka Free Trade Zone.
52 persons are receiving in-house treatment. Their condition is not critical. Investigations are continuing.
Several reports of groups of people being hospitalized with food poisoning. 12 workers at an apparel factory in Katunayaka hospitalized. 70 children admitted to the Bogavantalawa hospital with food poisoning. Close to 450 workers at a factory in Horana fall ill after consuming food. 19 workers at an apparel factory in Madavachi hospitalized with food poisoning. 21 workers at a factory in Grand Pass, Colombo admitted to the National Hospital with food poisoning. 150 workers at the Katunayaka Investment Promotion Zone admitted to the Negombo Hospital with food poisoning. For your attention. The two police officers who were involved in an altercation with locals from Arachikatua, Chilau have been interdicted. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona said that investigations have revealed that the officers were involved in an unauthorized raid. On the night of the 12th, the police officers had entered the house in the Arachikatua area claiming that it was to raid an illicit liquor brewery.
They said there was illegal alcohol and moonshine at our house. I told them that there was nothing and that we were hired laborers. However, they attacked us.
ඇඳුම් පොලිසිය කියලා හිතන්නත් බෑ හිඟන්න එකත් ඒ වගේ ඇඳුම් අඳින්නේ නැහැ. ඊට පස්සේ පිස්ටල් එකෙන් ගහයි තමයි කවුරු හරි කෙනෙක් කියලා අපි හඳුනගත්තේ. අරක්කු බෝතලේ බයික් එක හැන්ඩල් එක එල්ලලා තිබුණේ බයික් එකේ.
Subsequently, an altercation was reported between the two police officers and the locals. The locals later said that the two police officers were under the influence of alcohol at the time of the incident. Subsequently, a police investigation was headed by the Superintendent of Police for Kuliapitia. Investigations have revealed that the two officers had used unnecessary force at the time of the incident.
They had engaged in an act that was not sanctioned. Thereby, the police inspector and the sergeant have been suspended. In addition to this, the police inspector was arrested and produced before the Chilao magistrate in connection with the assault. He was later released on a surety of 200,000 rupees. Investigations are continuing.
Meanwhile, the two victims of the assault carried out by the police officers lodged a complaint with the Circuit Office of the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission in Puttalam today.
We pleaded with them not to assault us. They put us on the ground and beat us with the pistol as well. We arrived at the Human Rights Commission office in Puttalam today seeking justice.
Over the recent past, incidents of police officers engaging in official duties under the influence of alcohol were reported.
The police officers ordered us to stop. We stopped. Then they came to us and pulled out the gun. They were drunk. There were 5 police officers at the time.
Complaint received that a group of police officers in civil attire and under the influence inconvenienced the public at a bus stop in Hindunuma. 3 police officers who engaged in duties under the influence of alcohol arrested in Badulla. Drunk police officer opens fire at a civilian in Gonakale, Passara.
Police headquarters say a special investigation has been launched into allegations levelled at the police over the raid on a karaoke centre in Katunaika. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana says investigations have commenced based on a complaint lodged with the Inspector General of Police.
It has been reported that the centre in question is owned by a relative of a politician.
A
group of individuals in civil attire entered my karaoke club, consumed liquor and consumed food. Then while they were threatening the female employees, around 40 persons in civil attire arrived to my hotel and arrested 16 of my employees.
At the
time of the arrest, my CCTV cameras shows them stealing the food and drinks at my hotel. This mudslinging business was operating based on the EU elections and politics. If this was against the law, it should be dealt accordingly. They don't need to remove and take away my CCTV facility. Then they should have brought it forward to the courts and accused me of any wrongdoings.
මේ මිලදීන්ගේ මගේ CCTV පද්ධතිය ගලවාගෙන යන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. එහෙමනම් අධිකරණයට CCTV පද්ධතිය ඉදිරිපත් කර මා වැරදිකරුවෙක් කරන්න තිබුණා.
An accusation has been leveled that the raid was prompted by a political agenda and investigators are being conducted by the police special task force. The raid was conducted by police teams from Peliagoda and Katunaika. The police media spokesperson stated various accusations were made against the 2 police teams. He added that investigations are being headed by the ASP of Negombo. SSP Ajit Rohana said that disciplinary action will be taken against them if they have misused power or have not produced items pertaining to the court case.
On to a headline-making story. The Ministry of Defence says that foreigners are requested to obtain prior permission before undertaking visits to the north. Military spokesperson Brigadier Ruwan Wanigasuriya made this statement during a media briefing in Colombo today. We cannot give space for persons wishing to create divisions among communities to carry out such activities. We have received information regarding foreign nationals engaging in such activity in the north. We ask these persons to please inform the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development if they are visiting the northern province and state their intentions and locations they will be visiting. We are not saying that no one is allowed to go. We ask that they please embark on such a journey after obtaining prior approval. This only applies to foreigners.
The launch of the proposed draft 19th Amendment to the Constitution by the coordinator of the Pivituru Hetak National Council, Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera, was held at the BMICH in Colombo yesterday.
The proposed draft amendment to the Constitution intends to be a platform for a social dialogue on democracy, good governance, national reconciliation and transparency. Leaders of political parties, professionals and civil society representatives were among the large gathering that attended the event. Copies of the proposed draft 19th Amendment to the Constitution were presented to the distinguished guests by the coordinator of the Pivituru Hetak National Council, MP Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera.
ජනාධිපතිතුමනි
I call on the President not to hold another presidential election, hold a parliamentary election after abolishing the executive presidency. He can do this with much ease, just as he promised. It doesn't look like this will happen. The 18th Amendment was introduced in order to make this permanent. The whole country has been politicized. Everything is politicized. The administration of the state has been completely politicized. We can see what has happened to people in the foreign service. Think about this. I must remind this gathering that the date of the presidential election should be decided as per the law and the prerogative of the people and not according to personal need. I must note at this instance that doing so would be an extremely selfish, ad hoc, rash and unwise action. The government has said that it will abolish the executive presidency, that it will amend it. He has amended it, and as an MP, as a public representative, I am saddened that I sat with the government and voted for this. I confess that we were wrong to vote for the 18th Amendment. I can state with responsibility that a significant section of those in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party told me to go ahead with this amendment and that they would extend their fullest support. We state clearly that this president must implement this amendment. If he does not, then we will do everything possible to defeat him.
As per the provisions of this proposed draft amendment, the President would function as the head of state while the Prime Minister would function as the head of government. The President would only be able to stay in office for a single 6-year term and must give up membership of any political party upon assuming office. The proposed draft amendment also notes that the presidential and parliamentary elections would be held on the same day. The proposed draft amendment also contains several other provisions, including the limitation of the Cabinet of Ministers to 25 and preventing any changes from being made to the Cabinet until the next election.
Western Provincial Councillor K.D. Lanka says that if it is absolutely essential that an election be held soon, then it is a constitutional parliamentary election that must be held.
Lanka made this statement at an event at a conference of the National Trade Union Centre held in the Gampa town yesterday. The Hello Rumor is introducing a new program. It says that the presidential system should be abolished and that the powers must be taken away. But Mahinda will not accept that either. When Mahinda does not accept it, the Hello Rumor too will have to leave the government. But we believe that the entire system should be abolished. But if Ratanathera is saying that we should take the best from him, there is no reason for us to disagree with him. If all they want to do is to remove 2 of the 32 teeth, if all they want to do is to take off the fangs, then we will not join that struggle. Ours is a different struggle, but we have no problem with that.
Leader of the Democratic Party, Sarath Fonseca, expressed the following views at a press conference today.
There is no point in making various statements from within the government. If one is providing strength for the government to carry out its activities, then all their statements are pointless. If he steps out of the government and then criticizes the government, then we can definitely embark on a journey with the Bhikkhu. We are prepared to join hands with the Thera if and when we see that what he is talking about is being implemented practically.
Minister of Special Projects and Deputy Minister of Economic Development S.M. Chandrasena stressed the need to continue with the executive presidential system. The minister made this remark at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
The executive presidency was created by the UNP through a 5/6 majority in parliament. Parliamentarians who assisted in the creation of the system are serving the current parliament. They have forgotten this fact. When losing, this system is bad, but when winning, this system is good. We were against the executive presidency for some time. If we did not have the executive presidency, we would have been able to wipe out Prabhakaran or even terrorism. Though we have defeated terrorism, the notion still exists. In order to establish permanent peace or democracy in the country, there is a need for the executive presidency to be effective for some time. The executive presidency should exist until separatism and LTTE terrorism are eradicated. No harm has been created to the country through this system. We can discuss abolishing this system when the country is more stable and the notion regarding the LTTE is diminished.
රටේ ස්ථාවර භාවය මීට වඩා LTTE මතවාදය අයින් වුණාට පස්සේ නම් අපිට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Back on Primetime News, we're taking a look at more local news. Representatives of the trade unions collective of the state and the private sector met with opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe today. The meeting took place at the opposition leader's office.
බදුල්ල අමාරුයි කියලා හිතලා විදුලි බලය අඩු කරපු දවසේ ඉඳන් දැන් අඩු කරගෙන යනවා.
They have been reducing prices of goods after the reduction of electricity prices when they realized that Badulla was tough. They have removed the taxes. Tax money nourishes corruption and waste. Hence, these prices which were reduced will gradually increase. You have to reap the benefit of this now. These price reductions were not taken based on the country's economy, but taken aimed at an election. The Rajapaksa regime does not intend to increase its revenue. Though a pledge was made to increase salaries in 2010, measures have not been taken to do so. Let's all unite and continue our fight to make our people survive.
The army says that the jewellery that was pawned to LTTE banks could be redeemed by its owners. Speaking in the Newsfirst, Army spokesperson Brigadier Ruwan Wanigasuria said that owners who do not have documents to prove their claim have the possibility of redeeming their jewellery if they prove beyond reasonable doubt their ownership to the jewellery.
The Army spokesperson said that ownership to jewellery could be made at Civil Coordination Secretariats located at Kilinochchi, Mullaitivu and Mana. According to Brigadier Ruwan Wanigasuria, over 2,000 owners of seized jewellery have already been legally identified. Brigadier Wanigasuria said that under the instructions of the President, jewellery which has no ownership is being placed in their custody. Meanwhile, Secretary General of the Tamil United Liberation Front, Ananda Sangari, in a letter, thanks the President for his gesture of returning to the owners the jewellery they pawned without recovering the capital and the interest on the borrowings. The TULF Secretary General also urges the President to extend the same generosity to the people from whom the LTTE collected 3 sovereign per family and return the equivalent in cash. He also urges the President to reduce the rate of interest and calls to refund to the owners any excess amount collected as interest, penal interest or other penalties. Views were expressed on the President's recent visit to the North at a media briefing held today.
ஜனாதிபதி அந்த விஜயத்தின் போது அவருடைய நிகழ்ச்சிகளிலே
The TNA did not take part in the President's program during his visit to the North. Northern Province Chief Minister C.V. Vigneswaran had in writing informed the President the reason behind this decision. The President did not respond to any of the points that were mentioned on the letter during his speeches in the North. Complaints have been made that the President is acting based on his whims in the North without respecting the democratic right of the Northern people and not upholding the promises he had made. The President did not respond to any of these.
தன்னுடைய விருப்பப்படி வடக்கு விடயங்களை கையாளுகிறார் என்று குற்றஞ்சாட்டப்பட்டிருக்கிறார்.
Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, leader of the Democratic Party Sarath Fonseca commented on a recent statement made by Tamil National Alliance parliamentarian P. Aryanethram.
ආර්යනේන්ද්‍ර මන්ත්‍රී ඔහු පුලපුලා කියනවා මම 2010
Parliamentarian Aryanendran has said that I signed an agreement with the Tamil National Alliance during the 2010 presidential elections. He has said that Mahinda Rajapaksa had agreed to go beyond the 13th Amendment. According to him, I had placed my signature on a document and Ranil Wickremesinghe had also signed this document. The document, according to him, had stated that the North and East will be combined and an environment will be created for the people to live free and independently. This is a blatant lie. I'm telling this MP, do not deceive the people. Do not deceive the Tamil-speaking people in your area. Produce this document in public without fooling the people. If I had placed my signature, produce this document.
ජනතාව මුලා නොකර පුළුවන් නම් ඒ ලියවිල්ල ඉදිරියට දාන්න. ඒ ලියවිල්ල ගෙනල්ලා පෙන්නන්න. අපි එහෙම ලියවිල්ලක් අස්සම් කරානම්.
Tamara Kunanayakam, Sri Lanka's former permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, says the state has been hijacked by a cartel. She made this statement in an exclusive interview with Newsfirst Nadim Majid on Newsline.
Why were you relocated from Geneva?
They wanted to get rid of me. When I say they, I mean Shenka and Sajid wanted to get rid of me already in September 2011. As you know, I was parachuted in from Cuba.
Madam Kunanayakam, you say that they tried to remove you. So you obviously concur with this idea that has been put forward by Professor Rajiv Vijay Singh and Dr. Dayan Jayatilaka, one of your predecessors, that there's a concerted effort at the Foreign Ministry to remove appointees such as yourself, Dr. Jayatilaka, Asita Pereira, and Dr. Chris Nonis. What could possibly be the purpose of such an effort?
We became obstacles, I think, to their interests, and I mean also personal interests, personal or group interests. So it happened to us. We are probably more visible because we are political appointees and everybody is interested in political appointees. But it's happened also to career diplomats who have been removed or recalled because they were not completely in line with the objectives or the interests of those who are giving instructions.
I mean, aren't the interest really to portray Sri Lanka in a good light in the international community and to uphold Sri Lanka's reputation? What other interests could be there?
The state itself has been hijacked by a group. I don't even want to say it's a class, but it's more like a cartel that is interested in promoting their own interests.
What are the implications that the incident involving Dr. Nonis and MP Sajjan Divaskunowardene in New York, what are the implications that has for the Foreign Service?
It's becoming, it could become even dangerous because it becomes like a soap opera. But what is important of the Sajjan Nonis affair is what this actually means, how it reflects on the state itself. So how is it possible that the man who runs the foreign ministry can beat up an ambassador outside in New York when the General Assembly is taking place? And so it means that the institutions are not functioning.
But an investigation has been ordered into the incident, hasn't it?
Yes, but unusual situation, the investigation is suspended. First the person, then there's the investigation, carry out the investigation. I have known diplomats who have been recalled or been punished and disciplinary action taken against them, I'm speaking about career diplomats, because they were supposed to have helped me. In fact, they were doing their job in Geneva and they were accused of supporting me, and they said that because of them they couldn't have a resolution against Sri Lanka, because they wanted to have a resolution against Sri Lanka because they wanted to get rid of me.
Soon after you took up your appointment in Geneva, you ordered an audit into the renovation of the High Commission premises. What was the purpose of this audit?
When you take over a job, you have to see that the table is clear. The residence where I was living, the official residence, was actually had waited before I arrived by a company whose the heads of the company had been arrested by the Swiss for LTT activities, that they'd been in prison. And I found that the estimates, that the contract was given on the basis of estimates that were totally wrong. I had discovered that the residence was being watched. And that's also the reason I informed the police, and I asked them if they could check if there was anything, any electronic material that had been installed in the house. And they said, of course we can't do it because this is extraterritorial. You have to ask your government to do it. Which is why then I asked the government to do, one is the financial audit, and the second is to look into the security matters. Because not only because of my own security, but this is the official residence. This is the Sri Lankan state. So if there was the microphones in there and we were being watched and they heard everything, the enemy knows exactly what you're going to do.
A former MP, Vasantha Samarasinghe, who's in the JVP, he says that this audit was carried out and that the report was compiled and then submitted to higher authorities here in Colombo. And he says that no action was taken subsequent to that. Why? Because as you point out, it's a serious issue, both financially and security-wise. Why was no action taken at all?
I think that's the question you should be asking from those who have the report. To my understanding, that the report was handed over to Sajin Bas to act upon. And I think you should ask Sajin Bas that question and now the present Secretary, Shenika Sivaratna.
Newsfirst Nadim Majid in conversation with Tamara Kunanayakam. Meanwhile, Kunanayakam expressed the following views to the Shakti Newsline program.
எதிர்காலத்தில் எவ்வாறான நடவடிக்கைகள் எடுக்கப்படும் என்று நீங்கள் எண்ணுகிறீர்கள்?
The report will state that the Sri Lankan people have not been protected. The UN Human Rights Council is looking not only at the situation in 2009 but also at the present situation. They are looking at what is being done to the Muslim people of the country at present. They are looking at what happened to the Sinhalese people in Balivaria. They are inquiring into these incidents. These incidents were reported when the UN Human Rights Council was conducting an investigation already. They will presume this means that we have failed to protect our people in the past and in the present. The message they will take from it is that we will be unable to do it in the future as well.
Persons who from the bottom of their hearts have hopes regarding the future of the United National Party and take an active interest in the party have submitted a set of proposals regarding immediate reforms that should be taken in order for the party to emerge victorious. They believe that through the implementation of these reforms, the UNP will be able to bring to an end its 18 years in opposition and the 28 election defeats it has faced and form a UNP government.
The National Executive Committee, which is presently dormant, must be given life to and made operational with the same powers that it had previously. The leader retains all the powers lawfully vested in him. Deputy leader becomes the automatic successor to the leader of the party upon the absence of the leader by reason of illness, absence from Sri Lanka or any other cause, including indisposition to perform his duties. The Leadership Council, which has been appointed at present for no apparent reason, must be abolished. A working committee which comprises of experts and does not comprise of a large membership must be appointed. The working committee must prepare the list of national list nominees prior to a general election and make it public. The national list nominees must be listed in order of priority and the family and friends of defeated candidates must not be included in the list. Individuals who were removed from the party and who had their membership suspended must be invited to rejoin the party and they must be reinstated in their former positions. Our independent media network does not lean towards any party. In order to uphold democracy in the country, both a strong government and a strong opposition are essential. Establishing the same is our responsibility.
Moving on to more local news, strong winds that swept across Ruanvala and Yatiantota this evening caused damages to over 60 houses. The Disaster Management Centre confirmed that over 60 houses were damaged and that one house was destroyed. Meanwhile, the police said that one person was killed when a tree fell onto one of the houses. The Department of Meteorology says that heavy rainfalls of more than 100 millimeters are also likely at some places in the Sabragamur, Central, Uva, Northwestern and North Central provinces. The Met Department adds that there may be temporary localized strong winds during thunder showers. The department goes on to say that sea areas around the island will not be rough. However, the sea areas may be temporarily rough during thunder showers.
The High Court has reserved its decision in a challenge over the detention at sea of the 157 asylum seekers alleged to be Sri Lankan nationals and the plan to take them to India. The government of Australia continued to defend its position to send them to India, which the lawyers of the asylum seekers say is a breach of the Refugee Convention.
157 Sri Lankan asylum seekers in a limbo. The effect of the treacherous journey from Pondicherry, India to Australia continues to take a toll on the 157 Sri Lankan asylum seekers as day 2 of the hearing concluded at the High Court in Canberra today. The High Court reserved the decision as the lawyers representing both the Australian government and the Sri Lankan asylum seekers got themselves into a heated argument at the High Court. According to immigration correspondent of the Sydney Morning Herald, Sarah White, who was present at the hearing today, the Australian Human Rights Commission and the UN Refugee Agency did not make any verbal submissions, even though they were given permission to.
It's been going on for 2 days, and the findings won't be handed down for another few months. And the government argued that they were trying to send them to India because that's the policy, that they have to turn the boat around rather than sending it to Nauru. I don't really see the government budging on their immigration policies. They've been very strong about them. What we could see is if the government is found to be unlawful, they may have to change the policies as a result, but they really have to wait for the High Court case to hand down its verdict. Even if they're found to be refugees, they will either be resettled in Nauru or they will be resettled in Cambodia. At the moment, those are the only two options available to them.
The 11th Joint Council meeting under the USA-Sri Lanka Trade and Investment Framework Agreement, or TIFA, was held in Colombo today.
The meeting was attended by delegations from both Sri Lanka and the United States of America, including Minister of Industry and Commerce of Sri Lanka Rishad Bathiuddin and Sri Lankan Ambassador to the US Prasad Karivasam. The TIFA Joint Council meeting provides a platform to hold trade policy dialogue spanning across a wide range of areas of mutual interest between the two countries.
There is many areas where opportunities are still abound for our two countries to exploit the emerging development paradigm in our region, where Sri Lanka can be a major hub for the US businesses and US investors to reach out not only Sri Lankan markets, but the markets in the region. Sri Lanka today, by the World Bank indexes, we are the best for business in South Asia. We are the most liberalized nation in South Asia, but still there are challenges for us to get to the next level. And this is a good platform for us to discuss these issues.
Seen from our side, bilateral trade between both countries increased by a stronger 21% to $2.8 billion in 2013 compared to 2012. US absorbs 23% of Sri Lanka's annual total exports, of which 73% comes from high-end apparels. According to the Washington-based Heritage Foundation's Index of Economic Freedom of this year also, Sri Lanka has maintained its commanding position as the most economically free nation in South Asia.
Today, we in this room
have been entrusted to manage this relationship and take the necessary measures that will enable it to continue to grow. We have accomplished much, but we can do so much more, and I think all of us know that. Today, we have a diverse agenda of issues to work through. Let us address ourselves to this task to grow our relationship and create more economic benefits for our people.
Experts in the energy field say that there is no prevailing government policy to make use of natural gas reserves in the Mannar Basin.
A conference on natural gas and optimizing the economic utility was held in Colombo yesterday. At the conference organized by the Pathfinder Foundation, attention was focused on commercializing natural gas reserves discovered in the Mannar Basin.
The billion-dollar question is, do we have sufficient gas or not? The answer is yes, we do. We have model reserves in the Mannar Basin which are 1.5 times in excess of this, which of course opens the door for export potential. What's going to happen next is there's a paper that's in the pipeline to commercialize Block 2 gas, start with a small reservoir. There's a new act to bring good governance and good management to the industry, both for you and for the investors.
Gas can be determined based on a formula taking into account the present government policy. What is the present government policy? There is no prevailing government policy on natural gas. We have to have the policies to lower the electricity cost over a period. So in that case, we have to take that into account. If countries to get the full benefit of the gas, what we have found, we cannot set the price too high. Because if we do that, we are defeating ourselves.
The third Asia-EU dialogue on strengthening labour migration corridors between Asia and the EU through enhanced migration governance commenced today in Colombo. The event also sees the assembly of the second senior officials meeting of the Colombo process on migration.
A distinguished gathering including the Minister of External Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Employment Promotion and Welfare, as well as the EU Ambassador to Sri Lanka were present at the event.
That is not receiving the degree of attention to which it is entitled. And also, integration is very important. If communities are seen to be cut off from the mainstream, if they develop characteristics and habits which mark them out from the community of the country to which they have gone, that produces tensions within those communities. So the idea is to go there, add value, earn money, bring it back. That means that we have to concentrate on some of the procedures. All of that means that you have to work towards a situation where people are content. They feel that they have done something useful at a certain time of their lives. And they're bringing back to their country something of value which they have obtained abroad.
With the skills gained in the host country, brain drain becomes brain gain. That is exactly what is happening with South Korea. Our workers who go to South Korea, they not only work there, but they gain the technical knowledge and come back to Sri Lanka and start their own enterprise here. So, opposite to the brain drain, sometimes migration can also bring brain gain. This is the route followed by Korea, which has now become the 8th richest country in the world. For creative destruction, knowledge is required. The unskilled use their raw muscle to work. The skilled add knowledge to their muscles and use technology to add value to their work. Knowledge is critical to shifting gears.
Migration is, however, a complex and sometimes controversial issue. Many people fear a brain drain. Others fear that their jobs are being taken by foreigners. Many people applaud the value which migrants bring to the destination economies through their labour. Others fear discrimination or exploitation. These issues present challenges which must be faced up to by us all if we are to get the maximum benefits of migration while mitigating any negatives.
On to more local news. One person was killed and 50 others were injured when a passenger transport bus fell off a precipice in Rambukwala, Teldenia. The police said that the bus had fallen into a 200-meter deep precipice. The injured from the accident that took place this evening were admitted to the Teldenia hospital. The police media unit said that a bus flying from Vayakanda to Kandy had thus met with the accident.
Champion of the world in public speaking, Dhananjay Hettiarachchi shared his winning speech with Sri Lankans at an event in Colombo yesterday. A large gathering were in attendance for the speech, "I See Something, to bring out the champion in you." The event was organized by the Colombo Toastmasters Club.
Can you remember how much?
Sportsmen and sportswomen in Norelia are now able to obtain applications for the Sports First Mobitel Platinum Awards.
The Sports First Mobitel Platinum Awards is Sri Lanka's first award ceremony that recognizes sportsmen and women from across the board for their talents and achievements in the national and international arenas. The Platinum Awards promotional vehicular parade arrived to Norelia today. The promotional campaign commenced after a memento was presented to Anru Deyanga, an athlete of the Norelia Sri Lanka Vajiranana Mahavidyalaya.
There are talented athletes. There is no environment to bring out these talents and cater to their needs. We see that in many instances, athletes in these areas are not given the opportunity. Therefore, we should appreciate this initiative by the Citizen Media Network.
At this promotional campaign, sportsmen and sportswomen of the area were able to obtain applications. For more information on the Platinum Awards, call 071 0420 420. The vehicular parade will arrive at Hatton tomorrow.
On to more sports news, 110 meters boys hurdles winner Akila Ravisankar from Sivali Vidyalaya in Ratnapura was adjudged as the most talented sportsman at the 84th Sir John Talbot Athletics Championships today. The championships were held over 3 days at the Mahinda Rajapaksa grounds in Diagama. Sarangi Silva, a long jumper from the Sri Sumangala Balika Vidyalaya in Pandura, was adjudged the most talented sportswoman at the championships. At the 84th edition of the Games, 22 new meet records were established while one record was equalled. Marisela College Nigamba won the boys overall championship while Walala A. Ratnaika won the girls overall championship at the Games.
That brings to an end tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm Mahina Bangzo.
And I'm Shahin Jurampati. Good night and take care.